Yo, what is up, Kings? I have a little bit of time to discuss this, and I was listening to an interview that sparked my interest. I may do a more formal video on this with the microphone and everything in the future, but so I want to talk about, and I have mentioned it several times, the unicorn or the possible myth that, maybe not myth, maybe myth is too strong a word, but the trad wife. Let's just call it the trad wife. The traditional, the tradcon woman. And like I said, maybe calling it a myth is too, because it's not necessarily a myth, but it's something that men especially need to be very, very, very weary of, as much as they are with feminists, but in a different way. Because, you know, to me, tradcon women, or especially fake tradcon women, are kind of like the spiders that will mate with the male spider and then kill him. I forget which one that is, but at least with the feminists, you know what they are. You know exactly who they are and what they stand for. So what sparked my thought on this was Just Pearly Things, Lauren Chen, who I've done a recent video on and given my thoughts on her, and Isabella Riley, who is apparently happily married woman, and then Andrew Wilson's wife was on the show. And I would say most of them are similar to me in mindset, kind of this weariness, this kind of, you know, watch out for fake tradcon women sort of thing. And really what made me think about this was the Steven Crowder situation. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize this, and this is ultimately why I ended up making the video that I did about Steven Crowder, even though I'm not really a fan of his, you know, politically. I think he's kind of softcore conservatism. Is ultimately, and this is really what it comes down to, like across the board. Ultimately, if you say that you are a traditional woman, then what that means is that you adhere to patriarchal authority, to male authority, and you are submissive to the patriarchy and to male authority. Now, a lot of people who are not super familiar with the Christian side of things when it comes to the practice of a patriarchal system will hear that, and they will think, well, that basically means that men will have carte blanche to just be super abusive and super messed up to women and keep them caged up and this and that. And I've said this before, but the bottom line is most men, 99.999% of men, have a deep innate desire given to them by God to love women, to cherish women, to protect, to provide, all of those positive things. And that is what feminism gets wrong about this whole, the underlying thought process behind feminism, which is that men just want to bear down on you, hold you down, and it's just false. Because most men, a strong majority, not only don't want to do that, but they want to be very, 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 very kind towards women. But with regards to the Steven Crowder situation, you definitely did see a lot of conservative media going against Steven Crowder. And Steven Crowder, I still remember to this day, one of the things that he said in the recordings that was dropped was, "You don't show me love." And I totally, and ultimately none of us were behind the scenes and there, and so we can't say for sure. But as a man, I gotta say that I do understand that to a certain degree, because, and other men will understand what I'm about to say, the way that men are shown love is through women respecting them, holding them near and dear to their heart, holding their authority in high regard. That is how men are shown love. Now, there's some smaller things, like, some men like their women to be super affectionate and things like that. But all men, or 99.999% of men, feel love through women through small acts of feminine behavior towards them as men, and two, through respect. But the small acts of service towards them as men is only done vis-a-vis respect. Okay? If a woman does not respect you, then she will not want to do those small acts of service, like giving you a massage after a long day at work, being super feminine and making sure that she makes your world easier the minute you walk through the door, and being super soft and kind-hearted and light, and sunny and bright, And so when he said that, I guarantee he did not feel respected by his wife. And when you get to a situation where you are such a high earner and high provider, and for most measurements, I think most people would consider Steven Crowder a successful, dare I say, high value man. Now, obviously, for most of his life, he has been extremely blue pill when it comes to interpersonal dynamics, and he gets that through the church. I've seen tons of men like him who are Christians who thought and still do think the exact same way that he used to think. But in every other metric, I would say that he is a high status man, okay? And you know how difficult it is to be that sort of man and to hold the sort of power that somebody like Steven Crowder held, which is literally to be at one time one of the most influential, listened to right-wing figures that exists. He was one of the most preeminent right-wing for like a span of 2 to 3 years. He was one of the preeminent right-wing voices, okay? And to come home, do you know how it feels to have that and come home and not have your wife listen to even the slightest bit of direction or guidance? I'm sure it's very frustrating and difficult. And so when Steven Crowder said that in his video, I guarantee that's what he meant. And so it's just, what started this whole video is me saying that you have to be weary of TradCon women, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to one simple principle when it comes to women. Watch what they do, not what they say. And yes, that goes for women who purport to be traditional women, because at the end of the day, the number one thing that will prove whether you are truly a traditional woman or not is whether you listen and adhere to the male figures that are involved in your life, especially your husband. If you do not do those things, you are not a traditional woman. You are a modern woman. who purports to be a traditional woman. More specifically, you are a modern woman who purports to be Christian, but really you hold God's authority in high regard, but you pick and choose his commandments and the Bible that was passed down and lean on your own understanding. So you're a modern woman who likes everything that comes with purporting to be a Christian traditional woman, minus the most important element, which is to love, respect, honor, and ultimately listen and submit to the male authority for the men that are very influential in your life, specifically your husband. So that's what this comes down to. And, you know, this is probably the biggest thing that I am passionate about talking about, because this gets men into trouble just as much as men marrying modern feminist women who are super combative. Ultimately, it's all the same. It's all combativeness. It's all a pushback against male authority and the patriarchy. It's just one is done out in the open and one is done vis-a-vis camouflage and purporting to be one thing when in reality they're quite another. And I get it. Listen, in fairness to women, I get how difficult it must be for them to live in a world where they have been pedestalized and given every motherfucking advantage that there is, and told that their shit don't stink, that they shit out beautiful, round, flowery pebbles. But no, they don't do that. They don't do that. But I get how difficult, because think about it, fellas. Can you imagine? And of course, it is hard to imagine because we did not have this. But bear with me. Can you imagine if ever since you were this tall, you were given every advantage, every ounce of love, been, you know, your actions excused at every turn. Everybody is nice to you 24/7, especially if you grow to be a fairly attractive young woman. Everybody is overly nice to you. They go out of their way to do nice shit for you. And listen, I have a little sister. I know how, and I'm not saying I had it bad or anything like this, but in comparison to me, and especially a half sister that I had that was a year younger than me, the easy road that they had as far as the expectations go compared to myself was night and day. Now, as a logical man that believes in the patriarchy myself, to a certain degree, I understand this, because that's how it should be. Men should be held in higher esteem. They should be held to a different standard, to a higher standard. But where things have gotten out of balance, out of whack nowadays, is that men and women, men are still held to the same exact standard that they were always held to, but they don't have the authority. They still have all of the responsibility, but they don't have the same authority that they once did. All right, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill. Like I said, you have to be weary of the TradCon girls, the purported trad. I sincerely hope that you do find a legitimately traditional woman who does submit to your male authority. sincerely, with all my heart, hope that you do find that. But for now, please, please, please be wary of it. Keep an eye out for it. Watch what women do. Don't listen to what they say. Stay golden, kings. BBAP, don't be a puss willow. It affects our feelings because your feelings just don't matter. I love you, kings. See you guys next time. Christ is king. Peace.